Hi everyone, we're going to continue on looking at our different terrestrial biomes. We finished forests last time, so this time we are going to continue with different grasslands, deserts, and tundra biomes. So climates in these biomes are you're going to see a lot less rainfall than our forests, and these are going to be replaced by savanna, grasslands, and charcoal biomes. So let's start with our biome that we know has the least amount of rainfall, which is the desert. So this receives less than 25 centimeters or 9 inches of precipitation each year. So think about that. The entire year, we're receiving less than 9 inches of rain. That's less than a foot of rain, which is crazy to think about. Another thing that's characterized by the desert is that the temperatures are going to widely vary from day to night. So at the night, temperatures are going to be very, very cold, where during the day, temperatures will be very, very hot. Plants tend to have a thick and leathery leaves. These are used to store water within the tissues. And they also have a very shallow root system. So when it does rain, they're able to soak up that water very quickly. Animals are going to get their water from the food that they eat. So when they eat the different plants that have this water storage, they're going to get their water as well, as long as the nutrients they also need. Animals in the desert also tend to be nocturnal, which means they sleep during the day and they're awake at night. And mammals have exaggerated appendages to help regulate their body temperature. It's another characteristic. So these are all different adaptations that these animals are going to have to live in the desert. So deserts are going to be regions that have little to no vegetation, with long periods without rain and extreme temperatures. They are the driest places on Earth, located near large mountain ranges. So mountains block the passage of moisture of those clouds that make these places very, very dry. So if we take a look at our graph over here, remember in the rainforest that we saw a graph coming up to here with precipitation. Down here, we see so little precipitation. Remember, less than 9 inches per year. But our temperatures up here are going to vary drastically. So very, very high temperatures with pretty much no rainfall at all. And again, with these very, very high temperatures, we're going to see those around our equator. So let's take a look at our plants. So all plants have adaptations for obtaining and conserving water, which is going to be very important because of all the precipitation, all the little amounts of precipitation that occur here. Plants called succulents, such as cactuses, have those thick fleshy stems and leaves that are going to conserve water, store that water. The roots are spread out just under the surface to absorb as much rain as possible. So super shallow roots, so when it does rain, the water doesn't have to travel very far to be absorbed into the plant, which is going to be really important. When conditions are too dry, plants die and drop their seeds, and those seeds are going to stay dormant. So that means they're not going to be active until the next rainfall. So then new plants are able to germinate and grow and bloom before the soil becomes too dry. So this is another adaptation that has occurred. So these seeds are dropped when those plants are dead, but they also have adapted to germinate, grow, and bloom very, very quickly to allow that plant life to survive. Our next one that we're going to talk about here are temperate grasslands or prairies. So these are moderate seasonal precipitation and fairly extreme seasonal temperatures. And in these areas, we're also going to see droughts and fires that are pretty common. So there's not enough precipitation to support large trees here. So grasses are going to thrive in these areas. despite those droughts, fires, and animal grazing, we're still going to see many grasses here. So animals are also adapted to deal with this idea that there's no upper coverage here. We're also going to see our soil, which tends to be rich in nutrients, and most of the world's grasslands have actually been converted to farmlands, which is kind of interesting. So temperate grasslands are going to be communities or biomes that are dominated by grasses. So hence the name grasslands. We're going to see many grasses there and have very, very few trees, if any. They're going to have very hot summers and cold winters, kind of similar to our temperate forests with hot summers and cold winters. Rainfall is going to be intermediate, so not as little as the desert, but not as much as the forest. And we're also going to see the most fertile soil in any biome in these temperate grasslands. So that's going to be a very important distinguisher for these biomes. So temperate grasslands are located on the interiors of continents, so where there is too little rainfall for trees to grow, and these include the prairies that we see in North America. So kind of our Midwest is where we're going to see these temperate grasslands. So mountains often play a crucial role in maintaining these areas. Heavy precipitation is going to be very, very rare. Grasslands are susceptible to these fires that we're going to see. So if we take a look, we do see that our rainfall is less than we saw with our forests, but there is still rainfall here, which is very important. And again, we're going to see these drastic temperature changes, very high in the summers and low in the winters. And again, we're seeing it found in our temperate forest region around 30 degrees north and 30 degrees south. So we're going to see it moving up from the equator, moving up in our latitude here is where we're going to see these temperate grasslands. And if you notice too, most of them are found in the center of these continents. Some on the coast, but again, it's going to vary of how that area's climate is there. So different plants that we're going to see, our root system of prairie grasses form dense layers that survive drought and fire, allowing the plants to come back year to year. So it's important that these root systems are very dense so they can survive drought and these fires. So only few trees survive in the grasslands because of the lack of rainfall. Remember, large organisms need a lot of water. Also, they don't survive the fire as well or these constant winds that occur. So if we take a look at our grassland plants, short grass prairies, we're going to see kind of less root system that's going to be here because that soil is always dry. We need that water to be able to absorb into the roots very quickly. Mixed grassland, middle grass, we're going to see soils are usually dry to moist. So we're going to see a more extensive root system because we're able to reach the water more easily. And tall grass prairie, we're going to see much more rain, so the soil is always moist. And again, we're going to see these root systems going deeper into the soil because they're able to collect that water that they need to grow. So this is where we're going to stop for today. If you have any questions, make sure you reach out and ask.